Petr Yan just beat Merab Dvalishvili in their rematch in UFC 323 and outclassed him in all aspects of the fight, and he proved a lot of people wrong in this fight, including myself, as me and a lot of other people thought that Merab was just going to outpace him, pressure him like last time, and because of his last couple of performances, Merab looked unstoppable, whereas Petr Yan hasn't fought similar people like Merab in his last couple of performances, and I thought that, and a lot of people thought as well, that Merab was going to dominate him, but Petr Yan just absolutely smacked us in the face and showed us who he really is. He completely outclassed him, he showed us who he was and why he's a big threat, and he showed us some of the changes and adjustments that he made since their first encounter and the first fight that they had, which led him to a victory against Merab Dvalishvili. So let's break it down. When you look at the first fight with Merab and Petr Yan, you can see that in the first matchup, Yan got absolutely drowned because of Merab's pace. Merab kept attempting so many takedowns and landed some of them, and Yan just couldn't get any offense started, and he was backed up and really struggled in that fight. He just focused completely on just defending himself and trying to survive. Also in the first fight, Merab had Petr Yan just constantly using the high guard in every encounter that they had, which led to a lot of successful takedowns and the takedown attempts being landed on Petr Yan. But the adjustments that he made in this fight was very intelligent. For example, instead of just solely relying on the high guard, he used the long guard. By using the long guard, it allowed him to react more to takedown attempts. It allowed him to just not be, a target just there defending himself. It also allowed Petr to land the jab more easier on Merab, which he did successfully in this fight. When you look at rounds 1 and 2, you can see that the jab was quite effective. It allowed him to set off all the other strikes from the jab, and it also allowed him to try and push the pressure onto Merab instead of getting pressured. The jab was constantly in the way, and because of the long guard, it just gets in the way of where Merab is looking. It doesn't allow him to just pop off with a 1-2 straight away. It just puts him in his place for a bit. Petr Yan's takedown defense in this fight was also impeccable. He was constantly just doing his best to defend him, and he defended a lot of the takedown attempts. You can see that here, this was the amount of takedowns that was shot, and this is the amount of takedowns that was actually landed from Merab. So you can see that Petr did a fantastic job of defending a lot of takedowns, and also in round 2 you can see that Petr even landed a takedown. He slammed Merab on his head, which was really surprising and really interesting to see. Now, another great adjustment that Petr Yan made in this fight was to target the body, and this is very intelligent because when you target the body is where a lot of the vital organs are, and if you crush the organs and damage them, it does limit the times you can spam takedowns like Merab normally would. And this was a very intelligent adjustment, as by using the body kicks, the body shots with the punches that he does, you can see that when he landed that body kick in round 3, Merab screamed it out of agony and pain. He screamed a very loud scream, and you can see that it had a lot of dire consequences on his body. This one big adjustment that Petr Yan made in this fight caused him to have better rhythm than he did in the first fight, as in the first fight there wasn't a lot of chances when Petr could find his rhythm due to the constant takedown attempts that kept happening to him. So when he targeted the body and caused damage, and it allowed to cause him to have better chances to find a rhythm, it slowed down the Merab on the feet, and you can't spam a lot of takedowns as you normally would when you are in constant pain and you have to be aware to protect yourself. So because of this, it allowed us to see a lot of classic Petr Yan. Petr was allowed to throw more sharp jabs, have more cleaner counters. When he got towards situations in the clinches, he landed good knees, and he was able to fight on both southpaw and orthodox. When he was in southpaw, he was landing a lot of body kicks to the liver, which caused a lot of pain, and in orthodox, landing the jab, from the jab landing a lot of combinations, which did really well and allowed him to cause a lot of significant damage on Merab Dvalishvili and caused Merab to just keep eating them. Yan's timing was finally back because he made this adjustment of targeting the core body parts of Merab Dvalishvili, and Merab didn't have an answer for this. He just couldn't handle it. And another thing that really helped Petr Yan in this fight was his patience. There was times in this fight where Petr had him rocked, with a liver shot, when he hit him with the right hand. There was times where Petr Yan rocked Merab Dvalishvili, but he wasn't an amateur. He was really intelligent. He waited for the right moment. He didn't run through, he didn't rush, he didn't get wild, he didn't give Merab easy entries to counter him and get caught. He did exactly what he needed to do by keeping it intelligent, hitting him with clear strikes, and it allowed him to really perform well in this fight because of staying patient with intelligent striking and accuracy. Rounds 4 and 5 were just perfect for Petr Yan in this fight, as in rounds 4 and 5 he was using the high guard and the long guard effectively. High guard for using the distance and landing the jabs and getting the combos in, and using the high guard to be able to protect himself and counter in shorter distances. He also landed a lot of greater body shots, stuffed a lot of Merab's takedown attempts, which was really a great thing to see, and Yan just looked better than Merab in those later rounds, which led to Yan winning the fight against Merab. So we can see that in conclusion, there was a number of things that Petr Yan did in this fight which led him to beat Merab, and that was using the right defense at the right time, so using the long guard and the high guard effectively when needed to, using great body shots to pick apart the body of Merab, using great elite takedown defense, which made Merab have to work twice as hard and have less results than he normally would, and getting the right rhythm and having patience allowed him to pop the shots off when he needed to, which ultimately led him to evolve. And we've never seen this style of Petr Yan before. You know, a couple years ago we've seen a certain style that we are normally familiar with, but now that we have seen Petr Yan evolve, it's just even more impressive. As he's getting older, yeah, he's getting way more better, which is phenomenal and interesting to see. He truly is one of the most complete fighters in every aspect. He has great striking, great defense, great wrestling. He has it all, and it's truly a pleasure to watch. So what's next for Petr Yan? Well, he could have a rematch with Sean O'Malley, and this is something that the UFC might push for, as you know, in the UFC's eyes, he's a bigger star, and you know, having Sean O'Malley, having a rematch with someone he's beaten before, allows the UFC to have a chance of getting Sean O'Malley back as champion, and it allows Petr Yan to have the chance to push that lost side and get a victory over Sean O'Malley and defeat him. There's also Umar Nurmagomedov, who, you know, a lot of people would stylistically want to see fight Petr Yan. And there's also another rematch with Merab, who kind of does deserve it because he's been fighting non-stop this year, and it would be quite fair for Merab to get a rematch, but I don't see the UFC pushing that, as you know, the UFC likely want to see another competitor fight for the belt rather than Merab again. But for Merab, I'd probably say he needs to take some time off. He has been, you know, fighting constantly, hasn't had really much time to take a rest and get a breather. So I'd say take some time off from Merab Dvalishvili and, you know, try fight another contender. You know, he could fight Umar Nurmagomedov in a rematch, Sean O'Malley, depends on who isn't fighting for a title. You could fight the highest contender out of them and get a title shot based off it if he wins against that contender. But ultimately, this was a great fight this weekend, you know, other than Pantoja versus Van, which just ended in a freak accident, and, you know, Pantoja losing the belt and Van winning by a TKO because of, you know, Pantoja breaking his arm. But let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.